Have you ever seen one of those huge national goals in the news and wondered, how does that actually get done? How does a grand vision, something that's supposed to take years, actually become the daily job for someone sitting at a desk in some government ministry? Well, let's dive into exactly that. We're going to answer this question right here. We're going to follow the entire thread, starting from this massive economy-wide target and trace it all the way down to a specific task on a team's to-do list. It's a journey from the super abstract to the totally actionable.
So every great national strategy, you think of something like Vision 2030, it always starts with these huge, ambitious goals. But here's the thing. The real challenge isn't just setting the goal, it's making it happen on the ground, day in and day out. It's all about turning that high-level ambition into real frontline action.
So how do you pull that off? Well, the secret is to break it down. You have to create what's called a cascade of key performance indicators. You've probably heard them called KPIs. Just think of KPIs as specific, measurable targets. For this whole system to work, every single target, from the very top to the very bottom, needs a clear owner and a clear way to measure it. It's about creating this direct, unbroken line from the big national goal right down to a team's daily work.
Okay, so to steer a modern economy, leaders are basically looking at a really advanced dashboard. And the gauges on this dashboard, they're called economic indicators. They're what tell us where we've been, where we are right now, and maybe even where we're going. Let's take a look at the three main types.
First up, you've got lagging indicators. Now, the best way to think about these is like the taillights on a car. They don't show you what's coming up ahead, they just show you where you've already been. They only change after the economy has already shifted, confirming a trend that's already happened. A classic example is when government spending goes up to boost an economy after a downturn has already started. Next up are the leading indicators. And these are your headlights. They light up the road ahead. They change before the bigger economy does, which gives us a clue about what's around the corner. So, for instance, when businesses start pouring money into new factories, that's a really powerful leading indicator that they're expecting good times and future growth.
And finally, we have coincident indicators. These are like your car's speedometer. They tell you exactly what's going on right this second. They move in real time right along with the economy. The most common one you hear about is employment. When the economy is growing, the number of people with jobs usually goes up at the exact same time.
So just to recap, the two that are most important for what we're talking about. Headlights, those are your leading indicators. They give you a hint of where you might be going. And taillights, those are your lagging indicators. They confirm where you've been. The real magic to a great strategy is figuring out how to use your headlights today to influence what you're going to see in your taillights tomorrow.
Okay, so how does this whole dashboard of indicators connect to a huge national goal? Well, a lot of national goals are tied to the biggest economic indicator of them all, the gross domestic product, or GDP. And believe it or not, there's a simple formula that breaks down the entire economy. Understanding it is the key to actually being able to influence it.
Here it is. This is the classic formula for GDP. Now, it looks pretty simple, but each one of these letters represents a massive piece of the national economy. If we can understand what they mean, we can see exactly which levers we can pull to make the whole thing grow.
Let's break it down real quick. C stands for consumption. That's all the money spent by people like you and me every day. I is for investment. That's spending on things that will create value in the future, like building new factories or developing new tech. G is government spending on things like roads and schools. And finally, you've got X minus M, which is just our trade balance, what we sell to the world minus what we buy from it.
And here it is. This is the crucial link back to our economic dashboard. Investment, the I in our formula, is a classic leading indicator. It's a headlight for the entire economy. It moves before the overall GDP changes, which means if you want to shape the future of the economy, investment is one of the most powerful levers you can possibly pull.
All right, now we have all the pieces of the puzzle. We get the GDP formula, we know about the different kinds of indicators, so now let's see how this all comes together in the real world. We're going to trace a single national target all the way down the chain to an actual everyday operational task. So this whole cascade usually breaks down into four main levels. You start way up high at the 30,000-foot view, L0. That's the big national target. Then it comes down to L1, a goal for an entire ministry. From there, it gets even more specific at L2, a goal for a single division. And finally, it hits the ground at L3, a metric that a small team can directly influence every single day.
Okay, let's walk through this example right here. At the very top, L0, the big national goal is GDP growth. That's a lagging indicator, right? It tells you the final result.
So to influence it, the Ministry of Investment at L1 focuses on a leading indicator, total investment. Now, how do they actually increase investment? Well, at L2, a specific division is tasked with getting new foreign investment projects up and running. And then at L3, it becomes a daily job. One team finds the opportunities, another team gets the deal signed, and a third team provides the services to get the project operational. See that? We just went from a massive national goal all the way down to a team's to-do list.
But hold on, it doesn't even stop there. The whole system then makes a handshake with human resources. Those L3 metrics, the ones the teams are working on, get linked directly into individual job descriptions and annual performance reviews. This right here is the moment the grand national strategy finally becomes part of someone's personal responsibilities and goals.
So you might be thinking, why go through all this trouble? What's the big unlock? What's the payoff for creating such a structured system? Well, it's about completely transforming how an entire organization works, thinks, and, most importantly, collaborates.
Just look at the difference here. Before you have a clear cascade, you often have these fragmented organizations. People are constantly arguing about what the real priorities are, there's resistance to working together, and departments are stuck in their own little silos. But afterwards, you get aligned priorities. Everybody has absolute clarity on what really matters. And because all the connections are clear, you get real buy-in for collaboration and genuine teamwork across different departments. It's a game changer.
So let's quickly recap the key takeaways from all this. First, big visions only become real when you break them down into owned, measured KPIs. Second, those leading indicators, like investment, are your way in. They are how organizations can actually drive future national results. Third, every lagging goal, every result, has to be connected to a leading action. And finally, in a system like this, collaboration isn't just a nice idea, it's absolutely essential.
And that really brings us to our final thought. This isn't just some abstract theory for national governments. This is an incredibly powerful framework for getting things done, for execution. So the question I want to leave you with is this. If every single goal in your own organization cascaded this clearly, from the very top all the way to the front line, what could you really achieve?